Good afternoon, guys. It's KB5 MIQ Big Boy. One thing you probably noticed from my last video, I got the mic on. Made the video before that, asked y'all to let me know how the audio was doing. Y'all did, it was great. And then I made last week's video and forgot to use the mic. Realized it when I was proofing the video and everything I'd covered, I didn't really want to reshoot it, so old guy here, I forgot. I apologize, so maybe we can keep it going. Guys, we're going to go ahead and do a 1,600 subscriber giveaway. We'll start it tonight. Email me. My email will be in the description of the video. It's also on my QRZ page. Put the subject matter, 1,600 sub giveaway. I need your name, address, call sign if you got one, or if you're studying Newham, let me know that. We'll run it a week and we'll give it away next weekend. What we're going to give away, sponsored by Broken Circuit Ranch YouTube, is this Bofang dual band talkie and this Tram dual band mag mount antenna that's got the SMA mount that'll screw right into this talkie. This is handy if you got to travel in a vehicle, you don't normally have a radio in. I've done it a lot with some of my Bofangs. Traveling with my dad's truck with the same kind of antenna, it works good. Guys, subscriber count's been over 1,600 twice. It drops back to 1,598, 99, depending on Google. So we're kicking it off now. I appreciate everybody who subscribed to the channel. Make sure you're still subscribed, because sometimes YouTube does some crazy stuff. Okay, I had one of my listeners sent an email to me this week. Hey, and there's old Ham Radio Cat done jumped up here and got in the big middle of stuff. We've had grandsons and company here today. She doesn't do well with company. There she goes. Jeff, one of my listeners, KD2YIO. I'm a fairly new ham. I have a Yaesu 991A and used it for 2 years. I just bought a Kenwood 940S from a local ham at a ham fest. I would love some advice how to tweak the radio to get best performance. Any suggestions or resources would be appreciated. Okay, Jeff, I sent you some emails. We emailed a couple of times. Buddy, I really felt bad telling you. Basically, I just turn them on and talk on them. I'm going to bring the camera around and show you a couple of differences on some radios here. One thing, guys, the longer you do this, you'll get to understand your equipment better, and you'll get your own operating practices. Now, I've got a weird operating practice. The first HF rig I used doesn't have hardly any filters. In fact, I got a copy of it here. We'll go look at it in just a minute. I'm largely a single sideband voice operator, although I have been dabbling with FT8 here lately. I don't use filters. I leave the white noise where I can hear it, and it's just a habit I got started with. Even back in my CB days, the first CB I ever bought only had a squelch, and it was AM CB only. I always left the noise where I could hear it. It may be weird, but that's just how I've always operated. About the only time I use a squelch is if I'm operating VHF FM. Even 10 meter AM I've operated, I never use a squelch. My hearing is kind of odd. I would rather not use filters, although that way I hear anything weak signaled. I do have this LG Alpha Alpha 5S single sideband add-on filter on my 897 that MTC gave me for to do a review on it, and I do use it occasionally. I do have it kind of tuned a little bit the way I want it, using it with my 897. But before I had that, largely, I didn't use a filter. Just my way of operating, the way I hear things. What you want to do with your rig is understand what the controls you've got on it, and depending on how many features your rig has on it, depending on what you want to use. So let me, I'm going to pause this, and we're going to look at these rigs I've got sitting here, and maybe I can explain that a little better. Oh man, hang on, I got to get my button hook back up. Okay, looking at this old HW101. We hadn't got it on the air yet, but it's pretty well simple radio. It's just a single sideband CW. You got your mode. These are all tuning for the tuned tubes in it. Basically, all it's got's an RF gain, and it's got a single sideband CW filter position, and that's it. This is your volume AF gain. So that's all you got on it. I hadn't got it ready to operate yet. It does power up, but since my dad's had problems, I haven't been able to get back on it. Now we look at this old 701 here. You notice it's got a pass band tuning. I leave it set neutral in the middle. Only other thing it's got is a gain control, noise blanker, and that's it. And that's how I've always operated that radio. I've never used a noise blanker. Pass band stays in the center. This is the RIT control. It's good radio, but I listen to the noise. Now, my old 897 here, I didn't buy it with any of the additional filtering in it. It has some in it, but basically, I just basically turn it on and use it. That's just the way I've always operated. And there's that LDG filter in the background here, and I've got it kind of set the way I want it. Now, the radio in question he asked me about was this 940. Now, this radio was a contester's radio back in the day. It's got all kinds of pitch, notch filters, all kinds of single sideband CW filtering here, all kinds of narrow band filtering, CW filtering. Honestly, I don't use any of it. That may sound crazy. That's just the way I operate. Guys that's got better hearing can do stuff like that. Let me pause this again. Okay, you take Tim, for instance. He's a musician, been a musician a long time. His ears, he can tell a lot difference on how our mics sound than like me and Jeff can. Tim also runs his squelch a lot on single sideband because he'll have to turn it down some, like when Sam, one of our farther stations, gets in with us to understand it better. I hope that makes sense. But the thing I want you guys to get used to doing is just get comfortable operating your radio and figure a way out that you want to run it for yourself. That's the main thing. I felt bad I couldn't give that guy any more, couldn't give Jeff any more tips on how to run that 940. I've made voice contacts with it. It's a heck of a radio. It's got a real strong audio to it. But I really just basically turn it on and talk. When I'm talking, use it for voice. Right now, I've got it set up for FT8. I'm just not big on extra filters. I don't know why, just my way of operating. And that's one thing with this hobby that I've always tried not to do since I've started this channel is to tell you guys you've got to do it a certain way. You got to get comfortable with how you want to do it. Too many hams they may not want to try different modes, and they get fixated on one mode or one way of operating, and they want to tell you that's the only way to do it. I'm not going to do that. I've always suggested everybody is get a manual for your rig. Start you a binder and keep every piece of information you get with every piece of equipment you buy. It'll come back to help more than ever. This old Kenwood 261 I got back in 1999. It's a good radio. I don't like it because it's super hard to program, and I still have to get the book out if I change much on it. Right now it's in VFO mode. I've got one PL tone set on it that covers most of my local repeaters, and I just use the knob to change the frequencies on it. It's that hard to program. That's why I've always kind of leaned toward the ASUS stuff for ease of programming. But operating your HF rig, you may get a rig with less features. I'm not going to call those rigs starter radios. They just have less features. And you may get a full featured rig. Just figure out what works best for you and get a manual and understand all your controls, and you'll do great with radio. Guys, I hope that makes sense. I've been thinking about how to handle that, because I really felt bad when he asked me how to give him some tips on it, and I hated saying, man, I just turn it on and talk on it. And that's basically all I've done with it. Remember our giveaway? Shoot me an email. We're going to give it away next Saturday night. MTC's open in their new location. They hadn't got their stock up yet. As soon as they get their stock up, I'm going to go up there and shoot some video. Keep an eye on Richard's website. Sign up for his mailing list. And that's where you'll always keep abreast of all his coupon codes he's got on his website. Thanks again to Broken Circuit Ranch, K1ENT, for sponsoring this week's this giveaway. W9LEO is giving me a tower bearing and that Shark antenna analyzer. I'm either going to give it away here pretty quick, or I'm going to find a school club to donate that to. Thanks again, everybody. Subscribe to the channel. It's KB5MIQ Big Boy 73.